Well, I I joined the service in 1946 in September 1946, uh, and I ended up going to Okinawa. Uh, and from there, uh, actually, I was in the ordnance depot. I was in the ordnance in Okinawa. So we took the ship HMS Brewster to go to Japan. Then from Japan we went to Okinawa to the Philippines, and then we came back to Okinawa, and I was there for a year.
Um, so back in 1946 of September, did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted. I enlisted for 18 months.
Why did you enlist?
The reason why I enlisted because when I came to this country in 1942 from Canada, and although I was born in Bristol, but my folks went back to Canada when I was 2.5 years old. So we came back when I was almost 13 years old. So I joined the service because my English was not that great, and my English not that great today either.
Your English is fine today. So you joined the service because of your language?
Uh,
Now, you were underage at the time, correct?
yes, I was underage. My mother and father had to sign for me, and because while I was going to trade school, because I didn't think my English was good enough to go to high school. So, so, and so I joined the service because I figured the World War II they would pay for for the rest of my education. And I graduated in May of 1950, and at that time I was working full time at Landers, Fraser and Clark. So I had 2 weeks vacation coming. So I took my vacation, and during that time the Korean War started, and so I so that
So you
then
got yourself into another war.
yeah, and then they called me back in 19 October 1950.
When you enlisted in World War II, what branch of the service did you enlist in?
I was in the army, and I was in the ordnance.
Why did you choose the Army?
Well, I mean, at that age, I figured, it didn't make that much difference one way or the other. The war was over, and you know, but I really don't know exactly the reason why, because well, they had at that time they in New Britain they had uh, an enlisting place on Eli U. Burritt. So I went over there and I joined up with a couple of other guys.
When you enlisted, where did you go for your induction and your basic training?
Uh, my I went to Camp Kilmer for my induction, and then I went to my training in Aberdeen, Maryland, and the ordnance.
What was your basic training like?
Uh, 8 weeks basic training. So I mean, at the beginning was kind of tough, but after a couple of weeks of running around, you get your legs working, So I mean, at the end, you run a mile and you wouldn't have any problem. But
So was basic training mostly physical?
yes, it was very physical. Yeah,
Was there any classroom
yeah.
instruction?
We had some classrooms, but I mean, it was more or less ordnance, for guns out of the different classrooms that you had.
After basic training, where did you go?
Uh, I went. I came home for a couple of weeks. Then after that, I went to San Francisco, and we got on the ship and went to Japan,
Where did you land in Japan?
Yokohama. And then from there, we were there for a couple of days, and we went from there, the ship took us uh, to Okinawa, and then from there we were there for only a day, drop off supplies, and then we went to the Philippines in Manila.
How long were you
We
stationed
were,
in Manila?
we were there maybe about a week, not much more than that.
So what did you do in that week you were in Manila?
Well, we had some classes. In fact, Christmas Day we had a beautiful meal and we went swimming
Wow,
in
that
Manila
was
Bay.
Christmas, and
Yeah,
that
Christmas
was
Day. Yeah,
1946.
1946. Yeah, yeah.
So the war had ended. Did you were you able to see the aftermath of the war? How Manila had been
Oh yes,
affected?
oh yes. You still had ships in the harbor and everything else. You know, there was they had Manila was not was mostly mud huts. You know, I mean there was hardly. I mean, people living there, but you know there was not nothing like what you have over around here. You know, so but. I mean, when you go to different countries, you know that you learn an awful lot. You know?
After your week in Manila, where did you go?
We ended up at at Okinawa the day before New Year's. So
And Okinawa is where you were going to be stationed for the
yes,
following year.
I was stationed there for a year, and we did recapping tires, and we landed in Anaha, and then we went to the Ordnance Depot, which was maybe about a mile or 2 miles from there. That was the Machinado, and they were supposed to. That was supposed to be an airstrip that they were supposed to fly uh, the planes to go to finish the war in Japan. And after saying that the war ended earlier, uh, they put all the airstrips. We had about 19,000 vehicles on the airstrip that that were just standing there, not doing anything. So
Wow. When you were on there, were you stationed right on base? Did you live on base?
yeah. Or we we lived on base, and we were working on the Machinado. I mean, we had our headquarters. I mean, our barracks different, you know. But
What was your specific job?
well, I was recapping tires.
What does that mean?
Well, we took old tires that took the treads off, and then we put new treads on there. So
This is for like the Jeep, the
the
truck,
the truck, the 2.5,
everything.
the 10-ton wreckers, you know, if there was anything. I mean, on that airstrip, we had anything from a Jeep to prime mover. The prime mover had 16 forward and 7 reverse. I mean, the prime mover was a vehicle that they would pull tanks out of the bogs and everything else. It was, I mean, if you put it on first or second gear, you could walk faster than that.
So you were in an ordnance unit, though.
Yeah.
Did you do anything with ordnance? Of course, the war was ended.
Well, the war was ended, and we had anything and everything in that depot. Uh, some guys even made binoculars because you had all the parts for the binoculars. If you had, as long as you had the book, you were able to get all the parts and then make binoculars. And
What was the intention of recapping all these tires? To ship all this equipment back to the United States?
no, I think most of the vehicles went to Shanghai Shek.
Oh, they didn't even come home.
No, they didn't come home. No, and most of the vehicles had 10, 15 miles on them. That's much more than that. So while we were there, most every week, 3 or 4 of us would take the Jeep or three quarter ton truck and go to Rycom or else because at that time Okinawa was only half of it was liberated. The other half you could not go to the northern part of Korea. It was at that time, I guess they hadn't the war ended and they hadn't cleaned it all up. So
What was a typical day like for you? What time would you work? What time would you get up?
We would get up like about 6:30 in the morning, and and have lunch, and then have breakfast, and go to work, and come back at noontime, uh, and have lunch again, and go back to work in the afternoon.
Was it a typical 9 to 5 working day?
It was probably close to that. No, I mean, we just kept doing the work we're supposed to do. But
At the end of the day, were you free to do whatever you wanted?
yes, yeah, yeah. But there was nothing. There was really nothing to that we could go to. They had at the end they had a place in Rycom, which was maybe about 6 miles north of that. But besides that, all you had was the air base, and there was yeah, you still had the people that were working out in the field, you know. I mean, and these Okinawans, and I mean, they were tough people. Uh, while we were there, I remember this woman was uh, working in the field, and she had her baby in the field, and then she went back, put the baby in the back, and she went home. No, I mean, they didn't have no hospital or nothing at the time. So the people had nothing. So
The living conditions for the USCIs, how was that? What were your barracks like? What was the food
well,
like?
we were living in Quonset huts. That's about that's the only thing that they had at the time. And Quonset huts was quick to build, and you know,
What was the food like? Did you have a dining facility where you get 3 meals a day?
yeah, we got. I mean, when I came back there to uh, the the first of these uh, first of the year, we had K ration.
What did that consist of?
Oh, that was I don't remember, but that was pretty bad,
And did you have pay rations all 3 meals?
No, 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 no,
Just
no,
your main
no.
meal?
Just that main meal, And then after next week, we started getting rations.
When you weren't in Okinawa, Adrian, how'd you stay in touch with your family back home?
Letters. That's it. There's no, you know, we didn't have. There was no communication to speak of. I mean, in those days, it was letter. That's all there was.
Did you have any recreation and leave time?
We used to have well, we play horseshoes outside, but, and after a while we had a couple of tennis, net tennis, yeah, net tennis, net tennis racket, but just the table, uh, bo- uh, pa-
Ping pong?
ping pong table, you know. So that was about the highest of our activity over there. So.
Did you get to leave base at all and go on any R&R?
Yeah, no, we didn't go to any R&R, but most weekend we'd put in, or we'd get a vehicle, 3 or 4 of us would go for a ride, and we'd go to the mountains. Uh, One time we went down south, we went to where they had uh, suicide cliff, where a lot of Koreans, I guess the Japanese that brainwashed the Koreans, and they said that the Americans would be worse than the Koreans. A lot of them committed suicide before the GIs came on, so they call it suicide cliff. But
So you then stayed at Okinawa for one whole
for a
year?
year, yeah, for a whole year, yeah.
When did you leave?
Uh,
You saw the month of the year?
it must have been okay. I got there in January. It must have been December. No, November or
46.
December. 47.
Oh.
47, yeah. December 47.
where did you go from there?
From there, we were supposed. Oh, that's right. We were supposed to stop in Hawaii, but the captain wanted to get home, so we took the northern route. So that we ended up in Seattle. So
Were you discharged right then when you landed in Seattle?
no, we waited about 3 weeks before we got discharged.
So you waited 3 weeks in Seattle. After you were
Yeah.
discharged, how did you get home?
Well, we took the bus home
All the way across the country?
all the way across country. Four of us.
There were 4 of you from Connecticut?
No, three. Myself and 3 guys from Massachusetts. And we went down to San Francisco, and then we went to uh, Hollywood, Los Angeles, Hollywood, and we had Phoenix, Arizona. We had different places. We had about seven, 8 different places that we stopped on the way back. So, St.
You
Louis,
actually
Missouri.
made quite a trip.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we had missed Christmas, so there was no rushing coming home. So then we went from there. We went to St. Louis, Missouri, then to Chicago, Illinois, then went to Canada, and then Detroit, then to Canada, and then we went to Boston, then came back home. So we got home in February.
What did you do in those weeks immediately after your discharge when you got home?
Well, I went to Landers to see if I had if I could have had my job back, and I talked to the foreman, and I says we talked for quite a while, and I said, I says, if I came into work, who would I bump off? And he showed me a young guy that with 3 kids, and I was single at the time. So I said, well, I says, I think you need the job more than I do.
So what did you do?
So then I went to work for. No. I'm sorry. I screwed up. Uh, I went back to school.
Ah,
I went back to school. I finished my school, and then after that,
did you go back to trade school or high school?
no, I went to trade school. Trade school.
Where?
Uh, E.C. Goodman Technical School in New Britain.
And what were you trained for?
Plumbing. And
So you were able to use the GI Bill for that?
yes, I was. Yeah.
Now, I know that you were in the reserve at one point. Did you, when you got your discharge in Seattle, did you sign up then to train in the
Yeah.
reserve?
Yes, I signed up then. Yeah.
So what were you technically in the,
Inactive reserve. Inactive reserve.
what were your responsibilities as an inactive reserve?
With that, I didn't have anything. I didn't have any. If you were in active reserve, you had to go 2 weeks of the year, and for training. In active reserve, you didn't have to do anything.
You didn't even have to do the training?
You didn't have to do anything because that was the reason why I wanted to get out of there and be out with it. But
So you remained in the inactive reserve until you were called up for
still I was called in Korea. Yeah.
And so when you graduated from E.C. Goodwin as a plumber, what did you do for work?
Well, I was working at that time. I was working at Landers, Frere and Clark, second shift, 8 hours 8 hours a night. So while I went to trade school, I learned. I had gotten a couple of weeks vacation coming, so my vacation was due in last 2 weeks of July. So and that's when Korean War started. So I didn't go back. So I
So
didn't.
you took your 2 weeks vacation and got called up for the Korean War?
Yeah, no, not exactly right after that. Probably in September they called me back. So
And this was September of 1950?
1950, yeah.
did you realize that you might be called up when the Korean War broke out?
Well, I didn't know that the reason why I joined the inactive reserve is because I figured the last war was 20 years before, and that just ended. What's going to happen within the next 4 years? You know? So I, I gambled and lost. You know?
You figured there wouldn't be any more wars
No,
after?
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
What was your reaction? What were you thinking when you got your draft notice that you were now active?
Well, it's when the government calls you, you go. You know, so I mean there was no really thinking about it. When they called me up, I said, where am I going?
So once they made you active, of course, now you've had these years with no training. What did
Well, they they we went to Camp Kilmer. From there, we went to Texas. Um, I forgot the name of the Texas. It was close to Waco, Texas. But so we went there, and the training. We were the first guys that came back to the world from World War II. So the 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 army wanted to find out how tough we were. So uh, we were 11-day training, and in those 11 days we did 365 miles in hike with full field packs. So I mean, a lot of those hikes were during the nighttime and the daytime, and so everybody. I think only one guy uh, got out of line because of bad feet, but everybody else followed through. So when we were going to from there we went to Fort Hood. Yeah, it was Fort Hood, Texas that we were in.
Fort Hood, Texas, where you did that
Yeah,
11-day
yeah,
training?
yeah. And then from there we went to San Francisco, Camp Kilmer. No, that's Stone Stoneham, I think.
What was it?
I think it was Stoneham.
We we can look that up.
Yeah, yeah.
How long was the training there?
There was no training. We
Oh,
just from there. We were there for about a week till we got our marching papers, and from there we uh, went went to Okinawa. Not to Okinawa, to Japan. Went to Yokohama, Japan, and from there we we got in. They gave us they gave us old rifles, and so then after we had to kind of zero them in, and when I was in when we were when we were in uh, when we went for basic training, we had fired the rifle at that time, and I never had rifles before, so I mean but except the first time when I went to Okinawa, for training, and I I fired 149, and to make marksman I should have had 150. So, but when I was in Japan, and we zeroed our rifle into 100 yards, and then after that uh, we fired and we had a 25-inch bullseye at 300 yards.
do you recall what kind of rifle you were using?
M1.
The M1 Garand?
Yeah, M1 Garand. Yeah, yeah. That was the only one that they had in those days. The carbines came in afterwards. Carbines were lighter, but the M1s were very accurate. And at that time, the 25-year bullseye hit 4 out of 5. I said, well, if I'm going to shoot somebody, it's that one from way far.
So when you went back to the Korean War, was your new responsibility, you weren't an ordnance anymore, were you infantry?
Well, yes, we were in the infantry, but when we got to Japan, from Japan to Korea, they looked through our records, and then they put guys in infantry, and they put me on for the Signal Corps. So
How long did you stay in Japan before actually going to Korea?
about 4 or 5 days.
Oh, not long.
No, not long. No.
And they put you in a Signal Corps unit?
Yeah. And we didn't know. I didn't know the first thing about it. Yeah. But
What were your duties supposed to be?
well, we were supposed to. Uh, we really didn't have no duties to start off with. We just the first time that we did, they gave us a truck to say go and pick up some wire at such a place, and so because at that when we got to Korea, uh, we got there on the 4th of December 1950, and so when we got off the ship and we went to area, and but 2 hours later this 2.5 ton truck comes up with all tires burning because they got ambushed, but he kept driving. So that kind of wakes you up.
And then what was your first impression of Korea?
Well, it was a wake up impression. So but
Where did you land in Korea?
Hangnam, and then we got attached to the 7th Regiment, 2nd Battalion, 7th Regiment, 2nd Battalion. For our job was to put communication from the company to the battalion and wherever else they needed something. And then about a week, 2 weeks later, about a week later, they said we got to go to Amhang because that's where we're going to pick up the ships to get out. When we landed in North Korea, we were surrounded 3 ways. All we had was the ocean. So they had all the ships were on the ocean. But the day after we got up there, the 7th Regiment went to help the Marines get out of the Chosin Reservoir.
Did you go with them?
No, we didn't go with them. We did not attach with them. So but
Where was your base where you stayed?
well, there's really no we only had a bunch of guys, and we followed the company wherever the company went. So.
So did you travel around a lot, or did you go
No,
to one place
no.
and stay?
We stayed pretty much in the same place up North Korea. And about a week later, they said, well, so we got to go to Hangnam or Hangnam to Amhang because the ship's going to pick us up over there. So they said, well, it says at the time I was driving the 2.5 ton truck, they said, well, it says we're going through the ambush alley, and so it said, well, it said every third vehicle is going to be either a tank or a half track, and if any vehicles does stop, they're going to be pushed off the side of the road, and we're going to keep right on going. So a couple of days after we were up North Korea, I had to go in the truck, and I noticed there was I guess somebody that shot the and we had a box where all our tools were, and the sun was shining right through. So
So at some point when you were going through ambush alley,
yeah.
you must have got shot.
Well, there was I mean I'm sure they shot at something and but they missed me by about 2 feet probably, 2.5 feet. But but the thing is that it's one of those things you never heard anything because there was too much noise of the vehicle, with the tanks and all the noise.
Did you even realize that
No,
you were under
no.
fire?
No.
Were there other instances when you were in Korea, when you were in combat?
A few times later on after we left North Korea. Uh, when we were in North Korea, we used to sleep in a house, and we had the company. I mean, most people were gone, so we'd sleep in a house, and that was it. We'd go out to eat at the plant that they had a tent, where. And I noticed the first time that when guys used to come in, they'd have the sanitizing tanks in the front with boiling water, and everybody would hit their mess kit in there to sanitize them. And then when they got close to the door, which was about 5 feet, they'd hit the side of the door with the mess kit. And I was wondering how come they were doing that. I did the same thing because it was the droplets of water had frozen at the bottom of the mess kit.
Oh, wow.
It was 35 degrees, 45 degrees below zero. So
Below zero?
below zero, yeah.
Oh, that must have been very uncomfortable. How did you handle the climate? How did you manage to work in that cold?
Well, you keep gloves on, you have a hats, and and at that time when we went over there, we really didn't have the heavy jacket that because the war just started and they weren't not ready for it. By the time we left there, but by the time we left there, they were coming out with winter clothes. So.
So actually, while you were in North Korea, the living conditions weren't that great. You
Oh,
said you lived in a house
yeah.
because the signal corps that you were in, the unit was so small, you could all fit in one little house.
Oh, no, no, no. I mean, we were just our group. You know, we get communications going. Then after that, well, we'd have a line that comes to our. If they needed us, they would call us. So.
And you'd go out and string the line.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of times you string a line, and the next 2 days later, you go and pick up the line because they had moved, and they didn't need the line, so we picked them up.
So when you were staying in that house, what did you do for food? You go
No, no, we used to go to the mess hall, uh, 2 meals a day,
to?
2 meals a day. Yeah, got a couple of eggs in the morning and corned beef hash, and at nighttime was corned beef hash and sprouted potatoes. So we had 2 meals a day while we were up there,
How
and
long were you up there?
we were up there. We left there December 24th. I left there at 12:30 in the afternoon, and
And that was 1950?
1950, 1950,
Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve, yeah.
And where did you go from there?
Well, we went from there. We went on the ship. Well, before I leave there, uh, at nighttime, we were surrounded 3 ways, and so we had mortars that on the beach that used fire almost all night long because most of the Chinese when they had numbers in people, so they used to hit at nighttime because daytime they get mowed down much easier. So, but I mean we had the mortars that were firing. Uh, they almost fired like machine guns all night long. And one night they stopped firing for about 10 minutes. Everybody in the room woke up. They would start firing. We went back to sleep.
Well, you get used to it and you can sleep with that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So then the Marines left the 20th. They got on the ship the 20th of December, and we 3 days after we brought our trucks to the dock so that they would go on the ship, bring down to Busan, and so we had a jeep and two and a half ton truck that I was driving. And the captain as well said, "You don't go with the ship, they're with the trucks." So when we got down into Busan, our trucks were gone.
So what did you do?
Well, we had to ask for more trucks. So. But when we left there, we had uh, we had in North Korea, the kids, I mean, they had short pants on, and and little rubbers. That I mean, they had the people up there had absolutely nothing. And so when we had a big depot, about a quarter-mile depot, that we had the food and stuff like that. And no, that was in North Hangnam. And so the week before uh, we left, they let the North Koreans have the food if they wanted food and things like that. So, I mean, and we had gone with our truck because we had gone over there and got some food and 50 cartons cigarette. Because we figured once we get to Busan, you could always use that as a bargaining part. But so we had a lot of stuff on there. All our gears were, except what we had on our back, that we left when we left North Korea. So we left there the 24th at 12 o'clock, and at 2:30, at 2:30 they blew up that quarter-mile, and the engineers they blew it up, and then and it's quite something. We were on the ship maybe about a mile out, and you could actually see the air coming at you from them blowing it, till.
Once you got to Busan, where did you go? You were stationed right there?
Yeah, we got our area over there, and uh, since we didn't have any clothes except what we had on our back, uh, and they really weren't ready for that either. And, so they gave us 7 blankets apiece, and so for the next week we slept 3 guys in a tent with 21 blankets. And you could still feel the cold air at the bottom. So, but you do what you got to do. So.
After that initial period of time, did you get your trucks and
Yeah,
your equipment?
about a week later we got trucks and equipment, and then we start moving north again. But and then we got to Daegu, and then after we went to another city. I can't think of her name. It was about 70,000 people in that city. It was it was the city that when North Korea changed it Busan, when when they came towards Busan, there was a battle over there, and then after when we went back in there, then the battle was 2 or 3 times in that same town, which was the premier Busan was very strong. So, but that company, there was people there for 70,000 people, and the only thing was standing was one chimney. So, and then it
Did you stay there? Were you constantly on the move?
no, we were always on the move. As the army took ground, we followed. We followed. But we then after we passed that, they had what they call an Operation Slicer. At that time, it was a bunch of tanks that and the army they sliced about 10,000 North Koreans with that one sweep. And so we followed the tanks going up the hill. And I mean, the hill was probably a mile high. And when we followed the tanks, and It was the first time we ever saw dead people, you know, and because the army always they usually have people that bury their dead, you know, so. But at that time, when we were going up there, we saw we knew there was three guys. And they must have gotten hit by a direct hit because there was three heads and was only 4 feet. So
Those were American
no. Those were the Koreans. So no. And then we went up there and we stayed there for about a week. And the tanks, well, they followed the road and on the side of the hill. And when we left there, uh, coming back down, uh, it was a lot, the tanks as they go around the corners, they dig up the road an awful lot. And I was driving and I had five guys in back of me, and with the sergeant next to me, and coming down the hill. In fact, I was holding on to the steering wheel so that so that you wouldn't go down the hill, because I mean was that bad of a you know I mean you had jeeps and jeeps and 2.5 ton truck, 3/4 ton truck, and a lot of vehicles were down the bottom. So
Well, that had to be pretty scary.
it was kind of scary, yeah. We left there around noontime, and we came back at our other staging area about 8 o'clock at night. And I mean, at that time, we used to have a sleeping bag. I used to put my sleeping bag and I put a shelter half around it, so it was always tied with a rope. So when I came to go to sleep, roll it out and get in there. That was it. So next morning, I woke up and I went to eat. When the guys woke us up at 7 o'clock. Said, "Come on, you guys better come in and eat." So we went to eat. When we came back, we rolled up the sleeping bag, and right in the back had probably a stone about as big as my fist. I never felt it
You slept on that all night?
all night long. I never felt it. No.
You were probably pretty tired from the day before.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where did you go after that then? You continued on?
Oh yeah. We continue on going up north. Yeah. And a lot of times, uh, when we got up to the Han River, and we were there for quite a while. And a lot of times we would know if they were going to have, uh, if they were going to attack, a big move or something like that. And when we were at the Han River, we had, the army went on one side, they went on the other side, and they were closed in, so that this way they were able to, the Chinese were able to back out, And at that time, we were there for quite a while.
Like
We were,
how long, days or weeks?
yeah, probably weeks at that time, and then so they a lot of times they used to tell us, well, they told us go and put lines, 5 lines up to as far as you can, close to the line, and we were supposed to have 9 in our group. We were only 7, so we used to have we had two South Koreans with us. We used to call them Little Joe and Big Joe. And I mean, they were very trustworthy, and I would have trusted them with my life. So, but the thing is that we worked well together. And so we went to the Han River, they said, well, go and put lines up, And we used to put, if we had telephone poles, we put the lines up on telephone poles. Because if they were on the ground, a tank or a half track or something like that, they threw up the line and we'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So your lines are out, So so we went up there and the guy said, "Well, how far do you want to go?" I said, "Oh, don't worry. So when you get close to it, you'll hear it, So being that we were short of people, I put climbers on, and you know, we started climbing, you know, and you pull up ahead, and I'd go up on the pole, and this one time I was up there, and I was putting the clove hitch, and move the thing, and moving the wire in, and it, I guess somebody a slug hit the pole, telephone pole, and knocked off a chip off about 2 feet from below me. So I took my belt and just pushed myself away, and I dropped. You know, but I said we're close enough.
That's how you know when you're near the front line?
Yeah, yeah.
After you were several weeks at the Han River, then you kept moving north?
Oh yeah, we kept moving north. Yeah. In fact, when after we got through the Han River, we slept at the we slept in the at the University of South Korea for 2 nights, and you know when you get there, you talk to a lot of the people, and there was one of our company had we're right on the Han River, and they had a machine gun, and every so often, you know, they'd see a guy putting his head out, you know, they shot him, you know, and I said, Jesus, I've shot that guy about 15 times, you know. So when we got to the Han River, he says, I got to go see, you know, there was 15 guys down there in the hole. And the thing is that, you know, they had so many people that they would build uh, they build like tunnels, and then they would put like big trees on top, then put 2 or 3 feet of dirt on top of it, and all they had was a little hole, you know, to look out of. So I mean, all the artillery didn't do anything, you know, it really didn't do that much damage to them, you know. So.
Well, Adrian, this might be a good time to talk about the living conditions in Korea before we go to where else you went.
Yeah.
This is a lot different than you had in World War II. You're constantly on the move. Of course, it's the winter,
Yeah.
freezing
Oh yeah.
cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you do for food when you were constantly on the move like that?
Oh, well, the kitchen moves with you. The kitchen moves with you. You know, and you know, and you know, and you know, once we get to the different area, we drop our bags. You know, and make sure that the communications were all set up, and then after we get back to our bags, and you know, so we had mats, and you know, and
So when you were in the field doing it, were you sleeping in tents?
no,
What did you have for barracks?
we didn't have barracks.
Where
You
did you
know,
sleep?
on the floor, on the ground.
No,
You
no
know,
tent even in the freezing cold.
no tent, yeah. Most of the time, most of the time, because we were moving, you know, and tents tents are a lot of work to put together to start off with. So you know, and that's you know, as we went from one village to the other, we scrounged a mat over here or something like that, you know. And most of the time, you know, we had to, you know, put something. If it rained, we put something over our head. That was about the size of it. You know.
Oh, that had to be pretty uncomfortable for a long period of time.
Yeah, it
Um,
was. Yeah.
it had to be stressful. How did you handle the stress?
Well, if we had time on our hands, the sergeant or the captain would say, well, go and wash the truck. You know, and sometimes we had to break the ice in order to wash the truck. but but one of the things, you know, when you come right down to it, there was a lot of thinking behind it. As long as you swore at the captain or you didn't think at all. So, you know,
Adrian, did you do anything special for good luck?
we prayed a lot.
And I know that you got a medal over there. Did you tell me you wore that?
Yeah, I wore that all the time I was there.
And it was a miraculous medal and medal of the Sacred Heart.
Yeah, right.
So you wore that all the time?
Yeah, and the dog tags. Dog tags were always with me. Well, that year you had to wear.
Did you have enough supplies to do your job for laying the wire for the
Yeah,
shortages?
yes, no. There was. I mean, we used to go back and and pick up the old wire, so make sure that we wouldn't have. But the supplies were pretty adequate.
In your downtime, what little downtime you had, what would you do for entertainment?
We had no entertainment.
No,
No.
no USO shows?
Mm. Well, we had Bob Hope was there. Uh,
Did you get to see him?
no, I didn't get to see him. No, we were our company we were at forward tack for most of the time that we were there. So, but I mean, our communication, uh, you know, went from the company down to and different outfits that they needed, like artillery and stuff like that. And after you're there for a while, you see you talk to all these GIs that were that went up the hill, and you get to know a lot of the guys. And one of the guys that you say, well, was when he get to a new place, says he was in George Company. He says we called it the Glory Company. So the captain says he looks at the highest hill. He says that's where we're going to be going. And that's where the biggest battle was the highest hill because that you always want to look to see where you're going. So but
What did you think of the officers?
the officers were fine. At one time at one time during the rainy season we had tents, uh, and that we were before the Han River. So we had all of our equipment was pretty well taken care of. But the rain, and we went by. We had new recruits, second lieutenant that came in, and we're walking by the tent, and second lieutenant says, "I wonder which if the guys that I'm going to be in charge are going to like me." I mean, because now all of a sudden they get the new lieutenants, and they're taking care of a company they have no idea who anybody is. So uh, when we first got there, we had General MacArthur, and one of the things that I think what he did wrong was when they started moving the war. He says we're going to send the guys home for Christmas, and they moved too quick, and when they got to the Yalu River, uh, the Chinese said they didn't want them to be over there because their power plant was around there, and MacArthur went there, but then when he went there so quick, after a while they had almost as many North Koreans in back of them as they had in front of them. So that's what created a lot of problems. And then after that, I think it was after that was General Van Fleet. But, but when they went up there, I wasn't there. They had come back the second time around. But so the second time when we went up there, we kind of they cleaned all the hills and everything else, to make sure that there was nobody in back.
What was your opinion of your fellow soldiers?
Well, I, I, I think most of them were great guys. I mean, you're all in the boat together, and you have to depend on each other. So you can't be a wise guy and make a living at it.
Now, Korea, your service in Korea was different than your service in World War II. In Korea, you're constantly on the move. Were you still able to communicate with your family back home? Because now you also had a wife in the family. Did you have
No,
your
no, I
children?
didn't have a wife.
So you were still
I was
single?
still single. Yeah, I
How
was
did you,
22. Just wrote letters, and and
was the
and,
mail
and
service
it,
pretty good?
yeah, the mail service was pretty good. In fact, one time my mother sent me two bottles of uh, two bottles of whiskey, but they had put them in a Schmidt bottle. They were cans, and they had capped them. They put them all the way up top with booze. They capped them, and they put paraffin around it so it wouldn't leak, and they shipped them.
And you got them?
Yeah, I got them 7 days afterwards.
I bet you had a lot of friends.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was that happened. That came around about March, somewhere around March sometime. But I mean, it's something and I remember that she had not put a right name on return address. So if something happened, where it would have gone. So,
So after the Han River, tell me about how you progressed further up into North Korea.
well, uh, when you were there, I mean, you don't what's happening around you, but you really don't know except what people tell you what's going on. You know, because when we uh, passed the Han, at that time we had the Incheon landing, which they land from one side, then we went on to the other side, and so that's why and at that time Van Fleet told the North Korean general, says uh, don't do anything to that University of South Korea, because I'm going to be sleeping in there. So, but I slept there a couple of days myself. But that was going to be his headquarters. So that was the only building that was halfway decent. All the rest of them were mud huts.
And that was in town?
No, that was in Seoul, Korea.
Oh, so you were right in Seoul.
Yeah, yeah.
How long did you stay there? Did you stay for any length of time in Seoul?
No, for about 3 or 4 days, 4 or 5 days. That was it. Because we kept moving, So till we get new orders, then we move, wherever they send us.
How far north did you end up going?
We went up past the 38 parallel. Then I thought, because I took a picture of myself at the 38 parallel. That was after the war was over. But well, I say after the war was over. It was not exactly over, but after June or July in '51, uh, we went in the background. Our active duty were not there anymore. So almost getting ready to come home. So that's when I took that picture.
That
But
was June of 1951,
yeah, yeah, July.
June or July?
Yeah,
So you stayed until that time, that entire time you were up
yeah,
in North
yeah,
Korea?
yeah. Before that, we used to know when they were going to have a push. In March sometime we had a push. Uh, they told us that at noontime we had to put a couple of lines going across the river. We're supposed to meet somebody else from our company from the other side, because if we had gone through the road, we would have been about 13 miles. But by going across, we had 2 miles. So, but they said you can't go now. The army's got to take the army's got to take the path that you're going to be using. So, we went up there. Everybody had 4 or 5 miles of wire on their backs, and so when we get up there, and then after that, the group from the other side didn't show up, so we had to send our trucks back. So we said, well, we had to swim across the river. We got to our company, and then it was about 8 o'clock at night by the time we got there. Then they drove us back to our area. And at that time, I had a letter from my mother. And I read it. What was flashlight? And next morning, 6 o'clock, next morning, 6 o'clock, they said, okay, guys, we got to go and finish the line. So we went up there, and we finished the job, and on the way back, it was about 10 o'clock or so. I was walking. I was the first guy walking, and I see a Chinese right in front of me. So I was quicker on the rifle than he was. So
You surprised each other.
well, yeah, we surprised each other. He was looking down, and so I saw him first. So we got him. The guys came over, and we got our prisoner, and we went back home. He had a beautiful rifle, nice Russian rifle. With a bayonet right on the rifle. And I had that for about 4 months.
What happened to it?
Well, before I came home, I went to the company, asked the company commander. He had to sign for it if I could take it home, and he wouldn't sign for it. So I told him, I says, if I can't take it home, I says nobody's going to take it home, and I broke the stock right there. It would have been a nice souvenir. But and we later learned that the guy, that the prisoner, had 13 years experience. He had been in he joined when he was 18 years old, and he was in the Shanghai army, and then he got captured from the communists, and he went to the communists, and he told us that, you give me a gun, and said, I'll fight for you. I mean, these people, that's all they knew. They knew that if they were in the service, they would eat. Which in those days, China didn't have the resources they have today. So,
Adrian, what's your most memorable experience from your time in Korea?
I don't know if it's memorial, but we used they used to have a lot of people when where where we bivouacked more or less was close to the road, and it had North Korea and South Korea, walking up and down the path. So, um, anytime and all time of the day. In fact, one night I was on guard duty, and this young girl came over, says, it's GQ. I said, well, what GQ? That's all she knew. She had gone to North Korea, and she had walked around and find out what the different things were. And so I called the sergeant, and he called the captain, and they took her to CQ, and for intelligence. So we had our own people that used to go up there. You know. And another time we're there, and there was a couple of guys that people were walking, and it was two uh, North Korean that were walking. They were looking at our base an awful lot. So he told Little Joe and Big Joe, said, why don't you go and check up on those two guys. And they started beat the hell out of them. So they said North Korean. So I mean, we used to have good experience.
Now, I know you have some paintings that a Korean gal did. Can you tell me about that?
No, it's not Korean. That was Okinawa.
Oh,
Okinawa.
and that was from World War II?
Yeah, there was World War II. Yeah. So those pictures were Okinawa, because in Korea, we had very few people that civilians that were around us. Uh, uh, we were forward tack most of the time. Uh, one night, they call us up. We had to go and fix a line, so we usually find out where artillery or something like that would move. With it. They had tracks, and that would chew up our line. So we go there. So that night, take off, and I'm driving the jeep, and it's just as we get up, uh, uh, there was no bridges, so we go on into the river and come back up the other way. And we got up there, the artillery went. All four of us in the jeep almost flew out of the jeep, because But then we realized, that the artillery had moved there before, so we got our lines fixed, and on the way back we didn't have to worry about the lights because there was enough the artillery light up the sky. Uh,
Wow, that was quite a trip. Do you recall your last day in Korea?
well, the last day, I would say, after we went to the company commander, uh, then we lived there maybe 2 or 3 days afterwards. I don't remember exactly the last day.
Where did you go? How did you go on ships
No,
back to the
we
United
were on the
States?
ships. We were on the ships. Yeah, on the ships.
Where did you land back in the U.S.?
Uh, San Francisco.
And were you discharged at that point?
Yeah, we just started at that point. Yeah. No, no, no. No. Yes, we were discharged at that point. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you go back to inactive reserve?
No, that was that
You
was
got
that
a
was that
real
was that was, that
discharge.
was, that was I got a real discharge that time. Yeah.
And so when was that? What month was it?
That would be
July, August of 51?
probably 61 August, somewhere. I would say probably around October 61, somewhere around there.
How'd you get home from San Francisco? You take another bus trip?
No, no, we took the train. Took the train.
What was your homecoming like?
Very, uh, very nice. I mean, the family and all our friends, they were happy to see me back.
What did you do in those immediate weeks and months right after you got back?
Well, I went, I went to work at Stanley work for about a month. Stanley worked in New Britain, and then they put me into shipping room, and there was no advancement in the shipping room. So after 2 weeks, I told him, I said that I'd like to have something better, or else, or else I'll quit. Then I quit, and I went to work at Colts in Hartford. So I worked at Colts for 2.5 years. Um, about 2 months after I was there, okay, I must have got discharged in February, because 2 months after I was there was probably in March, the end of March or the 1st of April, around the first week of April. It was a beautiful day outside, and they opened up the windows and everything else, and at that time, then they were test firing this 50 caliber machine gun, and at that time, uh, I when I heard the machine gun, I hit the ground, and the guy said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Well, it's just force of habit." But then when you're there, you never know what's going to happen. Uh, when after we had gone across, and put the lines up there. They had Chinese had a big counterattack, and I was on guard duty that night too, and they had you could hear the machine guns from the left hand side, which was the Englishman, and the right hand side was the South Korean, and they hit both of those. They didn't hit us. But the next day we had to pull back out because otherwise they would have, they would have gotten us in, you know. In fact, when we were coming out, I was driving in the back of a truck, and it's the first time that I saw GIs, in the back of the truck. They had about 15, 20 bodies, and the truck was right in front of me. And the North Korean already had the machine. They had a machine gun that it was hitting just below the road, and we had a 50 caliber machine gun up on top. So kind of, I didn't do. I was driving, but the other guy used it, so which was it kind of stopped it. It was the first time we'd seen guys that that were dead. So, but I mean it's re- really.
After your 2.5 year at Coast, where did you go?
I went to work for carpentry.
And is that what you did for Korea?
No, I did that for about 5, 6 years. And then after that, I went to work at uh, Malabar Corporation in West Hartford, and then from there we moved to Farmington Industrial Park, and then from Malabar it was started as a side company from Mallory Industries. So then the Mallory Industries absorbed them. So there were about 60 guys up there. So I worked there for 29 years, 11 months, and 5 days. The reason why I know that because that's what they put on my pink slip. And
Did you stay in touch with any of?
no, I never stayed in touch with any one of them.
Have you gone to any reunions?
No, no, never did. In fact, I could have gone to Korea. I think it was 25 years after. Uh, I got a card. I got a letter from which I could have gone there. At that time, I would work 55, 65 hours a week. So that was the furthest thing from my mind. But when we left North Korea, we got there. We had 2,400, about 2,500 people on the ship. When we left North Korea, we had about 6,000 on our ship. We're sleeping in shifts.
Wow. That must have been some trip back, with that many men on board.
Yeah, yeah.
How long did it take you to cross?
No, we went to Busan at that time. So but I mean, that was maybe about a week we were on the ship, much more than that. When we got to Busan, till our Eric, till we got our place back. We were on the ship. We got one Liberty off on that one night. So. But we went to Busan. We paid for the beer that was given to us because at the bottom of the can it says donated by Budweiser. But I somebody's got to make money someplace. So
Adrien, how would you say your military experience influenced your thinking about war?
I um, I think when they had the war in Kuwait, which was quite a few years back. I went down to the club and I told the bartender, I said, if they have a war, I hope it goes there, not here. Because after a while, you see the damages that happened, you know, uh, and the people that some of the people are almost savages, when because I know one time I went to this, we had to fix a communications artillery. It was black, it was all black. The unit was all black. And after they left, well, we had to go and fix up our lines again because they broke the lines. And we looked through, through the doors and stuff like that, and one that was a little young Korean girl that was dead. You come back, you tell the sergeant, and then somebody else will take care of it. But you don't want that around home.
Did you join any veterans organizations?
I joined the American Legion, but I mean, first off, I joined the Franco-American War Veterans. I've been very active in there. Uh, I went up as high as the senior vice commander, and then after I opened up the business, and that kind of killed it. But I mean, at that time I was still working at the shop, and my next door neighbor talked me into opening up a garage, and so for 4 years we were working in the garage. But I mean, work there at nighttime, and I worked at my regular job at daytime. So it's
So the Franco-American War vets and the American Legion are the two that you,
yeah, that I've joined them. Yeah.
are you still active in both?
I'm not active in the American Legion. I pay my dues, I pay my dues, that, and like I'm more active in the Franco-American War Veteran and St. Jean the Baptist. I joined St. Jean the Baptist in New Britain when I came out of Okinawa. I was 18 years old when I joined.
And you're still a member?
I'm still a member.
Adrien, how would you say that your service affected your life?
I think it's a good experience, and personally, I think that the United States should do almost like like the Jewish people. You know, when a guy gets out of high school, I think everybody should go for 2 years of service. This way, at any time that you need somebody, you have a whole bunch of people that are ready for you. And besides that, I think the service would straighten out a lot of these young guys that they have everything handed down to them. And because the thing that hurts me the most is that when you see these guys that come up and say, "Well, says I hate American," this is that, that that's something that shouldn't be done, because the United States is the greatest country in the world.
Is there anything else that you can remember or any other memorable experiences that we haven't talked about yet?
Not that I could think of.
Well, I'd like to thank you for your service to our country and thank you for sharing your story.